everyone. Thank you for coming. And thank you to Algorithmic for having me. My name is Magdalena Dadela. I'm a character artist in the video games industry. I've been working in the industry for a little over 10 years now. And I've had a chance to work on many awesome projects. I worked for Ubisoft Montreal as well as Ubisoft Toronto for many years. And then also Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam for a short time. And on some film projects as well at ILM Vancouver and at Framestore. And for the past year I've been back in video games because in video games I can texture as well as model, which I cannot do in the films. And I'm working at IDOS Montreal on an unannounced project, so I will not be able to talk about that. So these are some of the projects I have worked on. A lot of Assassin's Creed and also Splinter Cell, Warcraft. These are some of the characters I've made over the years, both professionally and some personal projects. I've used Substance Painter for a little over a year now, and first thing I used it for was this sort of bronze rendering, because I thought that that would be an awesome tool for that, because that's all I saw at the beginning, a lot of hard surface modeling. And then I thought I'd try to push it a little bit on the skin as well. These three ladies are all rendered in a Marmoset toolbag, so it's all real-time characters, and all of it is painted in Substance Painter. And for this presentation I will be talking a little more in depth on how I like to use Substance Painter for skin texturing, and I've made this little guy in order to show you how I do that. He was also rendered in Marmoset toolbag. So I'll go back to, here is the project, and this is what the final texture looks like. So I have several texture sets. I'll concentrate on the head alone. I will not go into the clothing. So I'll solo this. One of the first things I like to do when I start working is change my environment map, because by default you get this panorama map in Substance Painter, which is very yellow, and it changes the lighting a lot and affects your colors. So I find that the best way to look at your character is with one of the Studio HDRIs, and my favorite is the Studio 3 because it seems to be closest to what I see on the texture. So once you import your character into Substance Painter, it's good to check your normal map if you like what you see, and if it's a bit too blurry, for example. I found that his nose is a bit too stretchy, which is often the case. And in Substance you can paint your normal map alone without painting the texture, which is awesome. And recently on Substance Share they have released some great skin materials with XYZ textures. So you can apply a material like that. It will show you in great detail skin. And you can change the scale of the UVs, so it's very small. And you can control your intensity. Oops, sorry, I'll show you, make this bigger so you can see what I'm doing. So you can control the range of the intensity of those materials. And if you add a black mask, you can paint out where you don't want that material. And as you can see, it also creates, like, some of them create an indentation because it has also a height position setting. So you have to figure out what height do you want. It's basically like the ZBrush alphas. I also use the separate layer to paint in a few like little dots, additional details. on top of my normal map before I started painting the color. And to create the color, I find that it's good to start with material that's already in Substance Painter to paint skin. It's one of the smart materials which comes with Substance Painter. Oops, sorry. Oh my god. So it's called the skin face material. Ooh, oh, okay. So it looks like this. He looks like he's glowing right now. But it gives you several useful layers, like the base color layer where you can adjust your color, a skin detail layer, which are those little white dots which you can adjust with the UV scale. So I like to make these very small. And then there is a skin pores, which is basically the same thing, just a little darker. And patches, which is like a cloud texture in Photoshop. And I like to put my AO to a very bright and dark red and tone it down a little bit. So I still see where the features are, so I don't have to switch between color and material mode. I can just concentrate on working in color. I see where the mouth is and everything. And also with the SSS, I just make it red and tone it down. I don't know, I have, oh, okay. Okay, so this is my skin base that I ended up with. And after that, I can start painting the detail or the base layer of the face. And I start with something in traditional painting you would call mottling. So when you look at photos of the face in close-up, you see a lot of patches of red skin like this. And these dermatoscopy images are especially useful, so I encourage you to look for them on the internet. They're not very appetizing because they're used to look for problems with the skin. The doctors use them, but I think they give you a nice idea of what the skin detail color is like in real life. So the first thing I do is create this sort of mottling layer, which looks like this. And basically I just make a new layer, make it very bright red, add a black mask, and my favorite brush for this is the dirt brush. I'm going to turn off these materials, which is this one, and I put it on the flow to about halfway point and just go over my entire model lightly and try to switch between black and white on the mask, so I paint some of it on and some of it off and add more of the detail on the cheeks, on the nose, where usually you would see more redness on the face. You can find on the internet some information on the different areas of the face. The middle part of the face is redder, the upper part is usually more yellowish, and then the lower part is more blue. It's not always the case, but it's a good guide. So once I'm done with that, like I said, I end up with this sort of layer that I like to tone down to about there. And you'll see that I'll make a lot of red and yellow and orange layers and interchange them with each other. Instead of just making one, I like to layer it up.